one. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Ultimate Men's Movement with our host, Dr. Jack Rocco. And Dr. Jack, we are talking back in the green room about how I am such a proponent for testosterone replacement therapy. Thanks to you and the Ultimate Men's Clinic in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I'm feeling great, alert, energy, feeling like I'm much, much younger and ready to just go. And I see the difference when I'm not on it. And
Yeah,
it's not certain things in the news popped up that just kind of really seemed ridiculous. So I wanted to kind of, it's good news for military, but it didn't sound like everyone was responding in the correct way. So kind of delve into this article for us.
yeah. I guess Pete Hegseth had a conversation this week, and they came up with a new policy that every military member over the age of 30 will be tested once a year for testosterone, and then have the option, the ability to opt in for anyone over 30 and anyone who voluntarily wants to do it under 20. So, that's something that, the military has never talked about. But I guess, point in point with what we do, and a lot of the purpose of the men's clinic is that men are, across the board, men are having low T issues. And, it certainly affects our military guys, even though they're out there rough and ready. A lot of it's an epidemic. Men across the country, their testosterones are low. Some people, there's some thought that it's related to the food intake, the high processed food, but also a lot of the estrogen mimickers that are in the water, plastics. So men are really having a struggle with testosterone, and I thought it was great that Haig said addressed it, and it's going to be across the military.
I think it's fantastic because you think about it in a lot of ways. I wish I was looked at testosterone at 30. I wish they would have looked at those things when I was much younger, because I did go through issues and just meaning just energy, all these things, gain a lot of weight after professional wrestling. And if I would have identified the reason was maybe low T, who knows what could have changed in my life.
Yeah, I think, it gets a lot of press about, sexual health and men's muscle stamina, etc. But testosterone is really good for a lot of different things. It's good for cardiac function. It's good for bone growth, maintaining bone strength, as well as, mental alertness. So certainly a lot of these guys, especially even, guys that are on the computers for long periods of time, Intel guys, that it helps the brain and the body stay sharper for longer. But it's across the country. So our military now is going to be tested for it.
And I think it's important. And so let's dive deeper into, specifically enough. What was people trying to come back at it? Like, why is the military doing this? Is
Yeah, I don't.
testosterone considered another bad thing that if you have high testosterone, you are a man, and as men, we're not supposed to have high testosterone because we
Yeah,
are
I'm not.
considered, yeah,
I don't want to get into people's,
yeah,
the conspiracy theories out there,
yeah,
but it's happening. And I think anything that comes out of Trump's administration is going to be criticized. And I take a neutral stance on most things political, but I like both his and RFK's stance on health and wellness. RFK, simple advice he's giving is for people to eat real food. I mean, that's and that's a huge thing. But of course, that creates controversy as well. But I think both issues. I think diet is something we focus on a lot at the clinic, as well as checking testosterone levels. And so many guys are coming in with those big bellies, um, just fatigue. They don't have the muscle strength, the grip strength that they used to anymore. And these guys are showing up with testosterone levels 150, 200, pretty routinely. And we shoot for around 6 to 800 in the clinic.
right.
I think that if you maintain it around 6 to 800, and I don't know what the military is going to shoot for, their target. They may not have identified that yet, but by maintaining it around the 6 to 800 level, you get the benefits of it without, some of the potential complications. But we also do follow that. We follow hemoglobin, hematocrit levels, because that's one thing that it can do. It can increase your blood count, and then theoretically that high blood count could make the blood thicker and prone to stroke. So like
So
I said,
explain that hemoglobin. Is that something? Is that the most important thing to look at when
yeah,
being? Mhm.
hemoglobin is it's the protein that binds oxygen in the blood. So when we do a blood test, we usually do they call it an H and H. So the H and H is hemoglobin and hematocrit. Hematocrit's probably the easiest to figure out. Hematocrit is just a percentage. So with the hematocrit, you take your blood, you spin it down in a centrifuge, and if this is 100%, the red blood cell level will be around 40, below 50%, but around 40, 42, 48 is probably a normal hematocrit. Um, but if it starts getting up into 55, 60, then you start getting little extra risk on that. So I'm sure they're going to be monitoring it in the military. Um, but it shows, and they're finally admitting that it's probably playing a factor in a lot of the military preparedness, I would assume.
So let's talk about testosterone replacement therapy versus other steroids, because people are using the word steroids. And for
Yeah, I mean,
somebody that was in professional wrestling, anabolic steroids were really big. You don't know if people using this as performance enhancing testosterone is performance enhancing at all. If you up it even higher.
well, yeah, I don't advocate for
No,
that, but
no, but I know
we've
you don't
all known
advocate,
we've
but
all known guys we've all known guys over the years, in the gym that are using testosterone. And back in the 80s in the NFL, it was rampant in the MLB, with uh, the home run with McGuire.
really, so this was testosterone. So they were using,
Well, they
so
were using
that's
testosterone as well as steroids back then. But
what's
they're
human
two
growth
totally,
hormone? What they were used to call it what human,
well, there's
yeah.
human growth hormone is another one. They're all in the steroid category of, as a class of a chemical. Um, but testosterone is a human made. Some of these extra, the anabolic steroids of the 80s. I don't get into that, but like I said, I had friends who were into it, but. This is totally different. What the military's doing has nothing to do with anabolic steroids.
Oh,
It's
I know. I
natural. Yeah.
understand. But it's like, so if you overdo testosterone, it is something that people are doing in the gym to get ripped, because now you can't with anabolic steroids, or there's different things. So you really have to consult a doctor when using testosterone. That's one thing you have
Yeah.
to definitely explain.
Right. I think there's two things, because some of my friends who've talked to me about this, um, have been on it from their family doctor, but they're on a very low dose, and their testosterone level is might have gone from 150 to 250. They're on such a low dose that it's not even getting them into the therapeutic range. As we check it every 3 months, we make sure, we're very strict on making sure that your level is within a range that's going to give you some functional improvement. And then we also, do a consultation every 3 months with our patients. How are you feeling? How's your sexual function? We go through a number of issues. Um, so that's what you have to do. If you're going to do it properly, because you can still get I think one of my friends was getting the side effects of high hemoglobin and high hematocrit levels, but he wasn't getting any of the benefit of it. So, he was being shortchanged on both ends of the, having risk but no benefit to it. Um, so like I said, I want to make sure that, our patients are within a therapeutic range. And a lot of it is what feels good for them as well. There's, the science, if we go into it, a lot of it depends on how many testosterone receptors you have available, and, there's guys who just, once their testosterone levels are saturated, their receptors are saturated, they'll get a good effect from it.
And that's interesting in so many ways. And so, what do you want to voice to people? That testosterone's safe. It's a great way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the United States military just gave it a go on all of its soldiers, and that's something they take care of their soldiers. They want them war ready, they want them mission ready. Um, so I said, if this is something that the units, the
So that was really interesting, Dr. Jack. We really appreciate it. Go again to the Ultimate Men's Clinic in New Bedford, Massachusetts, or go ahead and follow us and like and subscribe to the podcast. That was the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Ultimate Men's Movement.